I support Wine to Five because I'm studying for my Certified Wine Educator certificate, and it's like having a weekly study buddy on the go.
It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to Five. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
This week, we are excited to bring you an interview with Lisa Mattson, the Director of Marketing and Communications at Jordan Winery in Healdsburg, California.
Lisa possesses 20 years of experience in writing, event planning, public relations, marketing, and media strategy in the wine industry. She is considered a thought leader in video storytelling, social media, and digital brand strategy for luxury wines, and is the creator and curator behind Jordan Winery's award-winning videos and dynamic blog, The Journey of Jordan. Under her leadership, The Journey of Jordan and its videos have won 4 Wine Blog Awards, the Best Wine-Themed Video at the 2015 Born Digital Wine Awards, Best Music Video at the 2016 International Wine Film Festival, and Films That Make Us Think at the 2017 Windsor International Film Festival. Prior to joining Jordan, she worked in public relations and event marketing for a wine importer, a corporate wine company, and 2 wine distributors. She graduated magna cum laude from Florida International University in 1997 and served as a new editor of a wine magazine for 4 years after college. Her memoir, The Exes in My Glass, How I Refined My Taste in Men and Alcohol, was published in 2016.
Please enjoy our chat with Lisa, you guys, and get yourself a glass of a nice Cabernet or something.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and time to talk with us. And I feel like just from reading your book that I almost I'm like, oh yeah, that's her. And all your stories are going through my head right now. So it's pretty cool. It's like, I feel like I know you a little bit and maybe a little too much. I don't know. But your wine journey has been so incredible. I mean, especially when you tie it into all the other experiences on how you fell in love with wine. So with all the twists and turns in your wine journey, how can you describe the way you landed at Jordan?
Well, I think it was, I guess I would say Jordan is really kind of the culmination of jobs that helps me. I get to utilize all of my different experiences and things that I've learned over the 20 years now that I've been in the wine business. And I think it was really just timing. You know, timing can be everything in life and in your career. And I was working at a high-end luxury wine importer based over in Napa Valley, Wilson Daniels Limited. And in the late 2000s, you know, YouTube had launched in 2006, and then I think Facebook came along in 2007, and Twitter was somewhere around there too. And so social media was exploding, and as somebody who has always been involved in some sort of communication and writing, and that's always been my passion, working at a small company that is an importer but doesn't own any wines. It's a great business, but it's also there's not only limited funds, but there's also the challenge of it's a pretty traditional business, and at the time, trying to being a leader and being progressive and having the support as well as the funding to do something like that was wasn't there. And so it was just sort of the timing where I had decided, and then the recession happened. Things were a bit of a challenge for a high-end company like that, and I just looked at the opportunity of heard about this job through Wine Jobs. I didn't know it was at Jordan. I just knew it was a luxury winery over in Sonoma County, and I just thought, wow, this could be great because I can work directly for the owner of the company, for a small business, and be really involved and be able to touch the consumer and communicate directly with the consumer, which is something that is more of a challenge at an importer. So that's I met John, came and interviewed with John Jordan once I found out the job was at Jordan, and we immediately hit it off. We're close to the same age, and we've just been having fun ever since. And that's this November will be 8 years since I started at Jordan.
That was my next question. How long have you been there?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And the video storytelling that you're doing is so incredible. I mean, I have to encourage everybody to watch the latest video that you created. But first of all, before we go into all that, I'd love for you to explain why it's so important for these wineries, whether they're new wineries or, legacy wineries, to share these videos with the world and why is it so important now and today?
Well, from an industry perspective, wine is an inherently visual thing, with it being an agricultural product, and also a product that consumers are very curious about, understanding, how it's made, who behind the scenes is involved with farming, all of those things. I mean, consumers are much more hungry for knowledge than they've ever been, because of the internet and mobile society that we live in. Everything's at your fingertips. You can ask any question you want. So on that side, I think wine is inherently, I guess I would say, made to be able to be a visual and really show people what's happening and what you're doing. So I think that consumers really love that aspect of it. And there is some romance to the wine industry and what we do. And I think that people want to be able to connect with that and enjoy that aspects of what we do. On the I would say, strategic side or tactical side as a business in wine marketing and video storytelling, if you look at the statistics, it's crazy for anyone to not be investing in video. I've got a whole bunch of statistics that you could link to or whatever for people that are interested. But I mean, online video is supposed to account for up to 74% of all online traffic by the end of 2017.
Wow.
More than half of people watch videos online every day. Another thing is that 85% of people that watch Facebook videos, since Facebook video has become so big in the last 2 years, since they've started to focus on it, is that 85% of those users watch it without sound. I mean, you could go on, and there's all kinds of interesting statistics about the conversion of videos and people that watch videos, how much more likely they are to purchase a product, or how much more likely they are to act on that call to action that accompanied that video. So we just decided back in 2009 that when we wanted to, the idea is to start telling our story in a more vivid, unfiltered way based on all the different mediums that were available to us. And John, Jordan, and I decided, to focus on video, because even in 2009, the blogging world was already very saturated. There were lots of wine blogs and some very good wine blogs, and popular wine blogs. And so we felt that focusing on video, not just words and pictures, at that time was something that would help us stand out. And it also just seemed like a natural fit because Jordan Estate is such a interesting, dynamic place that has so much going on that you really do want to show people what this place is and what happens here. So it's not just the winemaking, but it's the gardens and the cows and the chickens and the olive oil, the olive trees, and our chef and everything that's happening in the kitchen, and the party planning and the floral design from our events director. There's just a lot of aspects in the lodging that we have here, a lot of different aspects and different artists that are involved in all these little details that go into running a property like Jordan that's not just about wine, but it's also about food and hospitality. And video is just the perfect way to really, I guess I'd say, show people more without words. Because there's all kinds of little sayings out there about if the picture is worth 1,000 words and then a video is worth 300,000. But there's actually even statistics out there of if a video is 3 minutes long, here's what you can communicate, the equivalent of the number of words you would have had to have used to communicate that same message in 3 minutes. And it's really astounding how much quickly you can get things across through video and keep people's attention.
And I think it makes a connection to what's in the glass as well. And that's becoming more important now. People want experiences. They want to know more about the wine or the people that made it. or have something a little bit more substantial than just the juice. So I think it is important to tell a little bit of that winery story, and to be able to do it through more media rich medium, if you will, like video is important to get people to maybe even be a little bit more curious, maybe want to read more, maybe try the wines, like you said.
Yeah. And some of what I find really fascinating right now too is, and not related to wine, but totally related to video, is I was having a conversation with my brother and his wife when we were in Portland, and they were saying how their kids enjoy watching vlogs, the video blogs on YouTube, more than they like watching cartoons now.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? How much these video stories that people are doing and putting out there can capture all ages, but it's still telling a story and people connect. So it is very powerful. And I definitely want to talk about the power of this new Despacito Embotellado video that you did. You have got to tell us how you came up with that idea.
Well, I came up with the idea on a treadmill in Las Vegas.
That's a good thinking spot.
I was working for the weekend at a charity golf tournament, and was on the treadmill, and we're always looking for what's going to be a music video, our annual music video, because we do a lot of serious videos that'll teach you cooking and party planning and floral design and those types of things, and how grapevines are grafted and what fruit set means and veraison and those types of things. We've done those in the past, but we are also become known for letting our hair down and showing people that you can be serious about winemaking and culinary hospitality, but you can still show people that we like to have fun and we love what we do. And so we started doing music videos about 7 years ago, and we just do one a year usually. And so we try to be humorous, do a parody of an original. And we found that, if you can capture a song that's on trend or is popular and time it right, that those are usually the ones that get shared the most. Although we've had different results depending. We've tried a few different styles of videos and a few different styles of songs. But I just was listening to Despacito, and I was like, and I had somebody on Facebook had commented like, what's the theme song? What's everybody's theme song with summer? What's the number one song of summer? And everybody's like, oh, Despacito's got that wrapped up. And so I started thinking like, what could we do with a song like this? And then it just started to come to me as like, oh, we could, like, a lot of the people that work here, whether it's in the cellar, usually vineyard cellar, bottling line. A lot of the folks are are Hispanic, from Mexico, Central America, if you will. And so I was like, this would be a really cool thing to do, and I think they would be into it. I know the singers are from Puerto Rico, but, the fact that it's a Spanish language song, we've never done that before. And so I was just, bottling was happening, and we were just, and all the guys, the majority of the crew that's here, all speak Spanish. And so I thought, wow, that could be a fun thing to do and involve them, because they were in Dirty Work, our harvest video 2 years ago. But that's probably one of the only ones that they've been in. So I thought it would just be a fun way to get the bottling crew involved with our assistant winemaker and our associate winemaker that appear in a lot of our videos. And so that's how it came about. So then the next thing was just getting John on board, and Kendall Busby, my digital media coordinator that does all the video editing and shoots with me. And, that video just came together very fast. Like, I came back on a Monday. I'm like, we should do this. I talked to the assistant winemaker. I talked to the guys on the bottling line, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll do it. And then I talked to John and Kendall, and they were like on board. So I basically took 2 to 3 hours and watched the original video, and then came up with the idea of spoofing on the Virgin Mary statue slider shot that's at the beginning of that video, and doing it with a big bottle of Jordan in a box. Type of thing. So if you watch the original, you'll see we tend to we pick some things that we can spoof off of the original. And we shot it in a day and a half maybe. So it was a really, really quick project. We started on July 10th in the creative, and Wednesday we shot, and then we finished up the shooting on the morning of the 13th, and then Kendall had a few days of editing, and by the 19th, the day we finished bottling, we had it out.
Wow.
So,
That's
and that was
something.
the day that Despacito broke the world record for being the most streamed video of all time. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool, I'd say. Oh my gosh. That's so perfect. Everybody's talking about it.
Just to stay on the theme of storytelling, like you were talking about with video storytelling, your storytelling in the book, The Exes in My Glass, which is how I kind of got to know who Lisa Mattson was, not only brought back memories from the 90s, like the stuff we drank back then. I think that was the end of the Zima era, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Sex on the Beach was one of the great cocktails of the 90s.
Yeah, I think it had peach schnapps in it. Yeah. And just the way we approached alcohol was so different. And I was in my 20s and early 30s back in the 90s as well. And then, of course, we won't mention the men that have bad perms and acid wash jeans memories that came flooding back to me as well. But I had, when I wrote this question, you had just broken the news to Raul that you were moving to California to start your new wine writing life. And right now I'm on chance. So obviously I'm slow going because I'm taking a communications class right now. So I'm actually reading in between courses. And I was like rooting for you. To me, that was like a big turning point in the book. It was a big turning point for you when you said, I'm moving to California. And of course you didn't. You had Fernando, I think, after that. But I was hoping you would elucidate a little bit more for our listeners on how that one wine technology class, it was a Wine Technology 101, and you talked about the wine aha moment for you. I think it had to do with the grapes and the skins, but could you tell our listeners a little bit about, tease that for us?
Yeah, what really got me excited about wine and realizing that, wow, I could maybe have a career in this, it wasn't a wine that I tasted at all. It was actually seeing the juice come out of a grape. So I was sitting in my class. Florida International University is where I went to college, the public university in Miami, and they offered wine classes. And that's because their hospitality management school is like, at least at the time, is number 2 next to Cornell. So they had a lot of culinary focused classes and travel and tourism, hotel management, and also wine and beverage. And so Chip Cassidy was my mentor and my professor. And one of the first things he did in the class, once you were able to get into the class, because everybody wanted a class where you got to drink wine and you get credit for it. But once I was in the class, he basically went around and handed out, I think it was a white grape and red grape, and gave them to everybody, and then like made you lay down a paper towel in front of you and like squeeze the grapes in your hand, and then look at the juice on the towels and on your hand, so you could see that it's the exact same thing. Like there's no difference in color. And so it was all about trying to teach people and understand tannin and the skins and the impact that they have on the color of the wine. And that was just fascinating to me and just interesting and tactile. And I think that was just kind of the turning point for me, because I always knew I wanted to do something with marketing and public relations, some sort of communications job, but it's like, what industry do you do that in? And I just feel very blessed that I had that moment at age 21, at the beginning of when I didn't really have a career other than, bartending and waiting tables at the time to put myself through school, and to be able to have that moment happen to me in my junior year, before I'd even, got out of college. Then I got on the right path and have just always been in this really incredible industry. And I never had to do marketing for like some sort of B2B voice over IP software, or, a dental a healthcare company, or just something that may be really boring to some people. Or they say like, oh, I love what I do, but I'm not passionate about my job or my company. Like I don't know what that feels like, because I've only ever been in this really, amazing industry that I'm very passionate about and I'm very interested in. So you don't feel like you're going to work when you love what you do so much. So.
That's great. That's great. Well, and Lisa, some of our listeners, they're also into wine writing or blogging or media and communications. What kind of conferences or symposiums do you attend and do you recommend for people who are just now getting into the business or have been in the business but maybe need to change the direction?
Yeah, it's a tough one because I've done some traditional wine conferences, and then I've actually this year been focusing more on conferences outside of the wine business, and I think that I'm getting a lot more out of those. I think that the wine business can be, pretty traditional and set in its ways, and I know there are a lot of people out there trying to be more progressive, but some industries that are tied more to tech and the web tend to be, I just learned so much more from those than just looking inside the industry. I think going outside is can be very beneficial. So some of the things I've done, they're not necessarily writing related. Some of them are, but MozCon is an incredible conference that I just attended for the first time. That's MOZ Con. It's the leading search engine optimization conference in the United States, if not the world. So there are people from all over the globe there, and it's all about utilizing the web and how you put together your content and have it be searched and ranked and all of that. I mean, I could get into much deeper what it was about, but if I could put it on the top level, and that was just huge to me as a marketer and somebody who's developing content and putting out, whether it's video or text blogs or photos or any of that online. And my department also runs the website for Jordan, not just the blogs and all the digital media, or social media. So that was a game changer as far as a conference. And then I'm speaking at Content Marketing World in Cleveland for the first time. That's in September. And I guess if anybody would like to learn more or wants to attend, I do have a promo code I can put on either on my Facebook page or something. I posted it around on some of the wine writing, social media marketing Facebook groups so people know. But that is the largest conference for people that develop content marketing and blogs and using search engine optimization to get people into your content, whether it's on a blog or a website. And that conference has 4,000 people.
Oh my God.
Well, we definitely want to share that promo code too with our people. Yeah, so
from a lot of countries. So I think I'm going to learn an incredible amount. My session is not attended by all 4,000, which is good. But it's going to be a very serious conference, and I know that I'll learn a lot from it. I have also done some workshops with the guys from the Content Marketing Institute. They do some writing workshops, and I think those have been really great. I mean, there are wine conferences that I enjoy, like the Wine Bloggers Conference, but I would say it's a lot more networking than learning new things. So it all depends what you're looking for.
You are well traveled, and you spent some time away from the wine world to be with your husband, who had taken a job in Ireland. So we're curious if there were any new discoveries besides the finished book that you returned with, and were any of them drinks related?
There were some. They were mostly drinks related.
Had a girl.
But I will say that I didn't completely extract myself from the wine business. I worked a quarter time for Wilson Daniels while I was working on the first round of the book. So I did do some business for them in Europe and some things on email. And that was my first video project, is I filmed a video series called Wilson Daniels Films with a filmmaker named Brett Lyman of B Napa Studio. And so that kind of got me into this video path too, is that project that I worked on in 2008 over in Europe with some of Wilson Daniels winery clients that they imported their wines to the U.S. So with that, I did do some traveling for wine tasting. And then since we lived in Ireland, of course, there was a lot of opportunity to taste beer. So I would say one of the really interesting things was to just kind of immerse ourselves in the Irish lifestyle and culture. And sometimes I don't think there's anything better in winter than, Sunday afternoon. It was sort of like religion after church. We didn't go to church, but I know for a lot of Irish go to church. To go to your favorite pub, with a travel book or any book and sit there and drink a pint or an Irish coffee and hang out and chat with people. I think they say crack or something is their name for what they call it when you're like, chatting with people.
They call it crack?
They say, oh, it was good crack.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, if you're having fun. And it's not spelled like C-R-A-C-K. I think it's C-R-A-I-G or something. But so had some great Irish coffees and some great dark beers. And there, but you just drink a lot of Guinness. Guinness is so good. It's like everybody drinks Guinness. And it tastes different than it does here. So had a lot of Guinness. I learned that Prague, at least in 2008, was like the place to have mojitos. Like mojitos were all the rage in Prague back then. We'd go to these places. It's like mojito on special, strawberry mojitos, raspberry mojitos, hibiscus mojitos, which we totally didn't expect that. And then what other interesting drinking? I guess the other thing was actually just discovering Gran Canaria's wines. So the wines of the Canary Islands, now I've seen them in the last several years kind of pop up, sommeliers in America talking about them or journalists writing about them. But I didn't even know that the island of Gran Canaria had vineyards or its own DOC, I think is how they do their classifications. It's a Gran Canaria Tinto something. But man, those red wines were amazing. And we were like, we got to get some of these when we get back. And I still haven't been able to find them around here, but I need to take the time to actually go Google it and find a retailer and just have them shipped to me, because those were really, really fantastic wines, as were some of the wines of Laveau and kind of Switzerland just outside of Lausanne and Montreux. It's a whole UNESCO heritage site area. Beautiful, beautiful vineyards that overlook the Lake Geneva, but just pretty place to sit and drink wine. I mean, it's maybe not as high quality or as complex as the wines you're getting from Burgundy or Champagne or the Rhone or other parts of France, but they're still beautiful wines nonetheless. And to drink them in an environment like that is really, really special.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Every month we would go to a different country. That was kind of part of the plan. And we're both from the Midwest, and we never had this opportunity we weren't rich kids, so we didn't get to go backpack for a year after you graduate or whatever. So we were all student loans, go to work. And so in our early 30s, we're like, hey, we never got to backpack Europe. Let's do it a different way. And so that was him taking that job, having a lot of seniority at his company so that he could take a weekend off once a month. And then, a Friday or a Monday off. And so that's how we would do our little trips and then do a couple vacations, bigger vacations while we were over there too.
How many years were you there?
We were only there for 12 months. So yeah, it was just a 1-year assignment.
Oh, that's great. That is a cool opportunity for sure. Well, and so I definitely want to find out too, in hindsight, all of these years that you've had in the wine business and all these experiences traveling and still doing what you love in the kind of industry that you are passionate about. Is there anything that you would say you would have done differently or some words of advice that maybe you would give your younger self?
I think that the biggest piece of advice I would have for, I guess it would say my younger self or somebody in their 20s wanting to get into the wine business is that it's really important to learn about the company in advance and ask a lot of questions in the interview process in terms of what the culture is like, what the work environment is like, where you're going to be, how do people communicate internally, what are the resources that are going to be available for this position. I think that when you're younger, you're either too worried about asking those questions because you just want a job so bad, or you just don't know that these are the kind of things you should ask. Because I think what I've learned over my 20 years in the business, and maybe it's just that the older you get, the more I guess I would say the more knowledge you have, the more you want to do what you want to do, and you don't settle for less anymore than things. You're just too old for that. Is that, I've definitely learned that in jobs you have to ask a lot of questions and understand environments and know what personally is important to you in your job. Like, I'm one of those people that my actual workspace is really important to me, and some people don't care. Like, they're like, set me at a folding table as long as I get a laptop and I'm happy. But there's places that I have left my job, and on the exit interview, like I said, actually, I didn't like this office. I didn't like the fact that, we had to share a bathroom with men, and that's, that this is part of your office environment at this winery. And, there are things like that they were surprised about. So I'm not saying that that's a reason to leave or choose or not choose a company, but there's things like that to just think about. And also, is it the kind of company where the CEO is a hothead? Or, because I've had friends in the wine business that have had to deal with that, where they go to a company because they have a great reputation for the wine, but the owner also has a reputation for being a jerk. And if you're in the communication space, and if you're dealing with content marketing, you certainly want to make sure that you're going somewhere where people understand your role, understand the importance of what you're doing, and want to support that, and that the CEO or your boss, whoever, is like fun and interesting and is behind what you're doing and wants to support it, because it's a big ship when you're doing this type of job. For me, it's like I wear lots of hats, and so it's really fun. But if you're one person wearing lots of hats and all you're doing is hitting roadblocks, then you're going to burn out really quickly. Now, I'm fortunate at Jordan that the way John Jordan runs the company and the type of culture he's created, like, there are hardly any, I don't know of any roadblocks I can even think of that I've ever had in my job creatively. It's the most creative environment I've ever worked in. So that's really rewarding. But I've worked at a lot of other companies where, your ideas are stifled at every turn. It's like, oh, well, we need to have an attorney look at that. And, oh, well, we're going to have to fill out a proposal and send in a creative brief. And then maybe we could consider that idea in 10 months. And it's nice to work at a small company where that's where things move very quickly and are very open and creative.
That is some very valuable advice, and unlike any that we've heard on the show thus far. So we thank you so much for offering that up, because it's honest and it's extremely, extremely valuable and useful for our listeners, I'm sure. But before we end this fantastic crack that we're having today, could you just add to the fun just a little bit with an embarrassing wine story, please?
Yeah, I was trying to think about that. What do I have that's embarrassing? So I actually have one that happened last July. So I was in France, and I hadn't been to France in the 7 years since I came to work at Jordan. I used to go like once a year for Wilson Daniels and go to Burgundy or Champagne. So I had this opportunity to go to France for Jordan for business, because we have a new partnership with a champagne house in France, A.R. Lenoble, and the Mattson family that owns that champagne house they make a cuvée for us, a non-vintage brut that we serve and sell here exclusively at the winery. Okay. So we were there working on video to launch that, which is another video, one of our videos coming up soon. We'll probably be putting it out in the beginning of August. So we're there. Afterward, I said to my husband, can you take a few days off from work and come and meet me? Because we've been to Paris together a few times, but you've never been to Burgundy with me. And I wanted him to see what Burgundy is like. I wanted him to drive the Rue de Grand Cru and see what we're talking about when you see Cluny-Montfauchet versus Bâtard-Montfauchet versus Meursault. So we go to Burgundy. And so because of my job at Wilson Daniels, I do still have relationships with people there. Erwan Favely, who is the director of Domaine Favely. I think he's the 7th generation to run the family domain. We've still stayed friends all these years. I love him like a brother. So I said, we want to come visit you. He's like, oh, well, you should just stay at my house. So we're staying at his house. We have a fabulous dinner. We find out that he's gotten into running since we last saw each other, and I'm a runner. And Stephanie knows that too, because that's how Stephanie and I met, was through running at a wine conference.
Okay.
Right.
And so he said, we'll go running in the morning. I'm like, okay, perfect. So I asked my husband, Damon, do you want to go running with us? No, my husband's a sleeper. He doesn't want to go running. So Erwan and I go running, and it's, fabulous. We wake up in Nuit Saint-Georges. It's July. The weather's great. We run through the vineyards behind,
Jesus.
and we go up into this forest at the top of this hill in Nuit Saint-Georges. So we're in the middle of nowhere. We don't have our cell phones, and we're talking business and everything. And there's the road it becomes pavé, so the little cobblestones like they have. And one had a pitch where it was just sticking up, and I was talking to him and I didn't see it, and I hit it, and I flew and went face down on the concrete and like skid my chin across the concrete.
Oh no.
And it was just like, it happened so fast. Like there's nothing I could do. And like, my pants were pretty scuffed up, my like arms bleeding, my chin's bleeding. And I just lay on the ground, and Erwan comes up to me and he goes, "Are you broken?" Because, it's like his English is good, but it's like things like that. And then I was like, I'm going to need a minute. And I'm like, I had dirt in my hair and everything. I don't even know what I looked like. I mean, I knew I was bleeding, and nothing was broken. And so we just started. I was like, no, actually, I think I'm going to be able to run. I'll be okay, because we're about halfway through the run. So we ran the whole way back, and I told him, I'm like, how bad do I look? And he goes, it's not that bad. And we get back to his house, and I go to the mirror, and I've got like twigs coming out of my head, and there's like, the blood is all over my chin from where the skin's gone, it's like all, ugh. And I was like, you said it wasn't that bad. He's like, he just starts laughing. So that was pretty embarrassing. And then the next day I had an appointment at Domaine de la Romane Conti with the Aubert de Villaine, the co-director there, also a dear friend who I love very much. And like, I had to walk into the most revered winery in the world with this giant, like crud of like scab, like on like half of the bottom of my face. And like Aubert, just every time he looked at me, he grimaced every time he looked at my face that day.
Oh
so
God.
that was pretty mortifying.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry, Lisa. That is embarrassing. And it just, I was smiling the whole time because it is a pretty funny story.
And it's hard to feel sorry for you when you have an appointment at DRC. So
Exactly.
you got a little bit of
Well,
sympathy.
when you were saying how he was saying to you, well, it's not that bad. You're fine, and you find out that you have these twigs in your hair and stuff. I can't tell you how many times I feel like I've experienced that when my husband, it's kind of a man thing. They're like, you look fine. No worries. No worries. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. It was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's funny.
We will talk about that for years. But yeah, as a runner, you always have these interesting experiences. Like I try to run wherever I travel, and I know our winemaker, Rob, is the same way. Like we went running in Paris when he was there, when I was there, because he's in the video that we were shooting. And so it's just, you never know what's going to happen. And a lot of times they're just these amazing experiences. And then other times it is an amazing experience, but also something really embarrassing can happen.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, there's so many places I think people can connect with you, not just on your website, but Jordan's website and online. How do people find you, and how do they also learn about the promo code for the conference, and also about your book? Where can we all connect with you online?
Great. So I'll start with the promo code. The promo code that I have for Content Marketing World, if you go to contentmarketingworld.com, you can see the conference, what's available, the different price levels. I believe the discount is for $100 off, and it's Speaker 100. So that's SPKER 100. So basically like the word speaker with no vowels. And in terms of staying in touch with me as well as my work at Jordan, so pretty much across the board on social media, Jordan is at Jordan Winery, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, what we're doing there, as well as Flickr, where we post our photography. And then I'm Lisa Mattson Wine. Same way, Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. I got Lisa Mattson because I was an early adopter. I didn't have to put wine on the end. That's my personal Facebook. And I do have a website, Lisa Mattson Wine, but I had a server issue last year with a technical issue, redirect, and ended up losing my whole blog. So I don't have any blogging on any of my blogs. I've never taken the time to rebuild them on Lisa Mattson Wine. So that's a way they can go to the website and get in touch with me. But my email is lisa@lisamatsonwine.com. There's not a lot of fresh content on my personal site because I spend a lot of time blogging for Jordan. So we have 2 blogs now. We just launched a second blog last month. It's called winecountrytable.com. So I certainly recommend for people that are interested in food, wine, travel, kind of lifestyle posts, tips, advice, anything of that matter about all things Sonoma County. You can go to Wine Country Table for that and click the subscribe button, and then you'll get the weekly post of everything we have going on Wine Country Table. And then Jordan Winery's blog is just blog.jordanwinery.com, and that's where we focus on our more now winery news posts and just what's happening at the winery that is non-food or lifestyle related.
And that's where people can find the videos too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you can also go to jordanwinery.com and you'll see a section called Beyond the Bottle. And when you tap on that, if you're on a desktop, you have to click on Beyond the Bottle. If you're on like a little laptop or an iPad or an iPhone, you'll just see Beyond the Bottles kind of displayed. And it's where all of our photos are, our videos, like there's a whole library there. So you can also just go to them there or just click on the YouTube social media, the YouTube icon on any of our blogs or our website as well. That's in the footer, and you can get to our entire YouTube channel as well from there.
Great.
And I forgot, you told me about the book, so we talked about it a little.
Yes.
So on my website, you can find out more information about my book that we talked about. So I did write a memoir about my experiences of dating and drinking and the long road to finding my dream job and my dream guy here in Sonoma County. And but it's also, there's an Exes in My Glass Facebook page if you'd like to like that. I mean, I have links there of where to buy, but the links are also on lisamatsonwine.com, so it's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of those types of online retailers. And then I have distribution mostly at shops in like wine country. So the Copperfields in Napa, the Copperfields in Calistoga, the Copperfields here in Healdsburg. And then there's a few other shops around the country that are somehow tied to me or the book. And I mentioned those in like kind of my where to buy section of my website.
Great. We'll definitely link all that up for our listeners. And we do thank you for sending us a signed copy, as Wani out in California did win the copy, and she's so excited to start reading it. So thank you for that.
Oh, very welcome.
Yes. And we will be sharing our experience drinking some of those Jordan wines that you sent us in a future episode. So I want to thank you for that too.
Oh, you're very welcome. I hope you enjoy them.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think we will have to let you go and get back to your crazy but exciting schedule. But thank you so much.
Email blast due, so got to get some photos done and copy done and all of that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's a great life. And it was so great chatting with you today. I mean, just like I said, I feel like after reading your book, I'm like, I know her. Oh, my God. So this was really exciting. I know everybody's going to enjoy listening to our good crack today, our conversation. And we hope to see you again in the future.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Talking to you too. Take care.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
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 Well, Val, what did you think of that interview?
She was great. I mean, I went at this from the perspective that I've already read the book because you gave it to me. And so it was so weird reliving the 90s through her book and then hearing her talk, knowing what I know about her. It was so cool. But like you said, I think she had a lot of great information and a really great perspective to offer, a different perspective than we've had on the show before. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think this was a unique interview. I don't think it had really that much to do with our questions, but I think it has a lot to do with how interesting and dynamic Lisa is. And she has a lot to share with the wine world because she really, like she said, wears so many hats. So she can talk at so many different levels. And I think one of the key things that I appreciated was her insights into attending conferences and, what is it that are you going to network or are you going to learn something? And if you're going to learn something, what is it that you really need to be learning right now? Maybe you should be thinking about going to a different conference. That was kind of eye-opening, I thought.
It's eye-opening, and it's also relevant, not only for us, but for other people listening who do go to different events, whether it's Society of Wine Educators, whether it's podcast movement, or all these other things. We go there with a game plan for the most part. What is it I'm coming here to learn? Or what is it I'm coming here to accomplish? And sometimes you find that you might accomplish or something else might happen that you didn't expect to happen, especially if it's your first time going to a specific conference. You might network when your intention was to learn how to up your audio game, or, you might be learning skills when you really just went there to have a good time and see what's new and just kind of test the waters. So I really like that she mentioned the conferences that you might want to go to as a wine writer or a wine blogger or a wine podcaster or just a wine enthusiast may not necessarily be wine conferences.
Yeah. That was so cool. So that's definitely something new on, I think, the radar for you and I and maybe some of our other listeners. But we're going to be skipping the factoid in the show because we already have so much great content. But we do want you guys to go check out what we left you as a little bit of factoid. So go see it in the blog. But let's at least hit a little bit of our wino radar action here, because there's a lot of new stuff, but we do want to give you some reminders. Our book club has started, and we are reading Cork Dork, a wine-fueled adventure among the obsessive sommeliers, big bottle hunters, and rogue scientists who taught me to live for taste by Bianca Bosker. We also want to remind you about the Podcast Awards, so please go out there and vote for us. It closes on July 31st. And all of the links that we talked about with Lisa for the videos and for her book, those are also going to be under our Wino Radar section in the blog, so check out those links. Besides our Wino Radar, we have tons of shout outs. We have lots of thank yous to give, and I definitely want to mention the thank you, Lisa, for spending this time with us on a Monday. So, we know it's a school day or a work day or whatever you want to call it. So we appreciate that. And also thank you to Jordan Vineyards and Winery for sending us Lisa, but also sending us a couple of bottles of their beautiful wines so that we can talk about them in a future episode.
And we also have a shout out for Paivi Wahakanwas. And if you don't know who she is, you can probably find her in our Wine to Five community, but she goes by the blog name Wine Bubble. She's a blogger in Germany, and she actually wrote about the Wine to Five podcast in her Learn by Listening Top 5 Wine Podcast articles a couple months back, and we just stumbled across it somehow. Eventually, our media channels get so congested. We're kind of like, how did we miss this? But she included us amongst some of our very favorite top 5 wine podcasts. So we're going to link that up for you. It's also on the Facebook page. We also invite you to go check out her Facebook page as well. I'll follow her on Twitter as Wine Bubble. So thank you, Paivi. We hope we said your name right, Wahakanwas, for writing and being part of our Wine to Five community. I mean, that is what makes it fun. And we hope that other wine lovers are going to find your blog and your content as well. She's a beautiful blog, by the way.
Yeah, I like it. It's really clean. It looks really nice, too.
Yeah.
So more love goes out there to our Patreons. Thank you guys so much. Our Tenacious Tasters, Jeff E. from We Like Drinking Podcast, Lynn from Savor the Harvest. Can't wait to meet you. Sebastian from Sassy Italy Tours. We have got to get together, buddy. These Colorado people.
Yeah.
And our It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners. Thank you so much to Meg, Clay, John, Andrew, Aswani, Chantel, Mary Lou, and our newest It's Not 5 O'Clock and We Don't Care listener, Kathy Schaefer. And I think some of you may already know about Kathy because she is also called the Side Hustle Wino. And we had her on as a guest in episode 95. What's really cool, and we're excited for Kathy, is she's now heading the Atlanta chapter of Girls Gone Grape, and she does have her own blog called The Side Hustle Wino. So we have a link, and we want everybody to go check that out. And what else? Oh, she's on Twitter. So all of those fun social spaces, you can find her. And she really is engaged in our Wine to 5 stuff because she's been using the hashtag W25 challenge and putting some cool content out there. So thank you so much, Kathy.
And please welcome our newest Tastemaker listener. This is our first Tastemaker listener and our very first listener supporter from Scotland. So we're welcoming David Band this week, and here are a few words from David. He works in IT, and he's a drinks enthusiast from Fife, Scotland. He says, I like a little bit of everything, wine, whiskey, beer, and cider, and he writes a blog called Dive Into Drinks, and it's diveintodrinks.wordpress.com, so we'll link that up for you. And he just started this blog last year, but it's another really nice blog, and he's drinking some interesting things. So, of course, we checked it out and went and stalked him on Twitter as well. He says, I love how your podcast sounds so casual and friendly, and it's fun to listen to. Well, David, you know we're drinking when we're doing this, so there's that. So we hope you're drinking along with you. And we hope you will all check out David on Twitter at Dive Into Drinks. And of course, thank you to our Winetastic listener, Laura. But you too can jump on the Patreon bandwagon because if you like what you hear and you like spending time with our fun Wine to 5 community, it's like buying us a glass of wine, really, because yeah, we need another glass of wine. But why else would you become a Patreon supporter? Well, you get early releases of the episodes, exclusive content, shout outs, and of course, swag. Additionally, everybody that joins our Patreon pack at the $2 a month Tastemaker listener level and higher gets entered into a monthly drawing for a surprise wine gift. So if you want to get in on the monthly wine goodies, go to our Patreon page for details, www.patreon.com/wine-to-5podcast.
And please subscribe to our show. If this is the first time you're listening, make sure to subscribe. Please share it, link it, tweet it, Facebook it, and let the whole world know that you're listening to Val and Steph. You can help other people become listeners and subscribers by showing them how to do it, just like you did it. So please leave us a burning wine question or comment about today's show, maybe about a future show. You can leave it on our SpeakPipe, and we have all of the links on our website. You can also join the conversation that we have on Facebook. We have a private group called the Wine to 5 Community. Get more involved with other listeners and start sharing some stories and photos, all of that good stuff. We also appreciate any Apple Podcast, iHeart review. Really, any review is good. So we like reviews. They help us get found. Yeah. That's what people like. And we're living in a review type of world these days, folks. So people like to read reviews. So we totally appreciate that. And everything we've mentioned is on our website. You can find the books, like Lisa's book, and any other accessories, and you can shop for them in our store. There is a tab. It's so easy to find. And we're on the social spaces, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and Google+. And you can connect with Val on Twitter at WineGalUnboxed and as Vino Val on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And I am on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest as the Wine Heroine. I can't wait till one day I really have a cape, and then we can do a video, and you can do a rap, and I'm going to do some silly. I'm going to do something silly. Now I'm inspired with Lisa's interview about all the video stuff. Okay, so you know how to contact me. I'm everywhere on the social spaces, and so is Val. We love what we do, and we love your support. Thank you, everybody, and until next week, cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Wine to 5 podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.